to give this a go. 1 minute unscripted on ambition. So I think for many women in family business in particular is a really tricky word. I think I've spent a lot of my career dealing the consequences of perhaps achieving some of what I thought were my ambitions, only to realise that perhaps they were things that other people told me were important, and they weren't really the things that I thought I should be perhaps achieving for myself. So I suppose my key piece of advice, keep it short and simple, with ambition is to be very careful about what you're adopting because other people told you you should be doing it versus what you're doing because you're really passionate about doing it yourself. That might not be a job, that might be a way of living, that might be a way of thinking, and if you define those ambitions and those common threads within all the different things that you can do, I think that will inevitably take you further and give you more satisfaction than perhaps adopting other people's ideas of what you should be doing. Thanks.
Well, following Emily's outstanding example, I'm going to try and do mine unscripted now. Ambition, I think, is a bit of a dirty word. I have heard people put down people, particularly women, by saying they're far too ambitious, which sort of means don't really want them in my team, maybe rather have a steady Eddie, maybe someone that's not going to challenge me too much. And it's not a word I have ever used about myself, actually. I'll frequently tell people that I'm passionate, that I'm determined, that I'm competitive even, but I don't think I've ever said that I'm ambitious. And I think maybe ambition to me means much more about having a real goal of what you want to do in life. And I think, you know, if you're in medicine and you say that I want to become a consultant, that's a sort of a normal ambition for people to do in that profession. So maybe I'm a bit lost because of the industries that I've been in. And I've generally had my head down in a job and not really thought very much about what the next one is going to be. Which is why I always say to everybody else, much younger than me, get yourself a mentor, because they're going to help you. And if you do have an ambition, they will help you plot your track to get there. And if you don't have any ambition, but you're passionate and you're competitive and you're determined, I'm sure they will help you move in the right direction. Thanks very much.
What does ambition mean to me? Oh, there are probably two aspects to this. For me, one of the big things was about feeding the curious, and that was about using my applied biology and digging deeper. So it was about learning how pesticides work and how they can give better outcomes, and also learning about potatoes, which was my sort of one crop that I learnt in real detail. And then it was about taking those learnings and making sure that we tried to create better outcomes, but always that they were done collaboratively. So any work or any projects was always the outcome of a team rather than as an individual. Which brings me on to the second aspect, if you like, of ambition. It's about personal integrity and making sure that whatever you develop and however you develop, you always do it with respect to your own moral compass. So, in summary, ambition for me is the desire to get and be better, but aligned with your own personal moral compass.
Ambition is an interesting concept. Within society, I suppose you're seen as ambitious if you strive for wealth or power or fame or rising the ranks within the business. It can be seen as a negative if you have too little or even too much ambition as a woman. For me, ambition is much more to do with goal setting and pushing the boundaries, changing the status quo. I've been very lucky. I've been surrounded all my life by strong, entrepreneurial, ambitious women. So when I think about ambition within my career so far, I feel like I have taken on new challenges. I've had faith in my abilities. I've learnt new skills. And more importantly, I want to pass on the ambition of, achieving within the workplace.
For me, ambition is about going after the things that you want and pushing yourself to achieve them. It means not settling. It doesn't have to be what society would deem success. It's entirely personal. It could be a career objective, a personal challenge, or just about the kind of life that you want to lead. Being ambitious is sometimes perceived as a negative trait because there's an assumption that it means that you'll stop at nothing to get what you want and don't care who you have to tread on to get there. But that isn't the case. You can be kind and compassionate and support others and still follow your dreams. It can be scary to share our ambitions because it opens us up to being perceived as a failure. However, when we do this, it makes us accountable and gives us space to ask others for support and allows our friends to cheer us on.
Hello, I'm KIRSTY BARDEN and the Business Development Manager at MDS. To me, ambition is a deeply personal thing. I think it's important to identify your own goals and not be determined by what other people may define as a success. It's important to identify your goals and highlight anything that may be an obstacle in order to determine the best route to success. It's also important to let others around you know of what your ambitions are so that we can support each other.